I'm here to present a story, evidence from my foundation phase class. So I am a teacher educator and I train foundation phase teachers. So in my class, the first thing that I was confronted with was a pair of so many innocent eyes who were ready to learn, but then I couldn't figure out how exactly I was going to reach out to all of them at the same time because there were so many of them, and at that moment, I didn't have any tutor, no facilitator. So that was my first challenge. But then we embarked on a journey with my students to actually use technology to ensure that they have access to information anytime, anywhere. So that statement by Alvin was uttered in 1970, and I love it because it actually relates to what I'm doing, because I want my students to learn, unlearn, and relearn concepts. Because basically, I am under the mandate to ensure that at this point in age, because my class is a unique class, I have a class that is actually a convergence of generation X, Y, and Z. So as a lecturer, I belong to the X generation, digital immigrant, but my students, they have cell phones, tablets that they use every moment in my class. So that is where the concept of Internet of People came into play, and then I wanted to actually exploit the technology that they have so that they can actually access information in my class. So basically, the idea was my students, at the end of the program, they shouldn't be knowledge experts, but I wanted them to be knowledge entrepreneurs. So this is the rationale behind everything, the graduate attributes. So after reading the graduate attributes, it is when I realized that my task was more than what I was even interviewed for when I came to this institution. So theoretically, the theoretical underpinnings is constructivism. I wanted them to actually be active producers of knowledge. I wanted them to be hands-on. I wanted to provide experiential spaces where my students would enjoy learning on a daily basis. Then again, there's Education 4.0, whereby students must construct knowledge anywhere, anytime. They have to align with Industry 4.0 skills. And then again, I wanted to address their 21st century skills, because they are also going to be teaching digital natives, babies who have been born with tablets. So that is what actually was the driving force. And then another term that I was confronted with, one that my tutor is so conversant with, apparently sitting too close to me, I feel so intimidated. Terence Pretorius is the man behind my technology journey. So cyberology is engaged online learning. Again, I wanted my students to be fully engaged online and physically. Unfortunately, it's not so clear. So this is a screenshot from the online portal. At first, I wanted to know my students, but then there was just no way I could memorize everything about them. So we opened an online discussion forum where they were introducing themselves. So all the students introduced themselves, I also introduced myself. So we actually engaged in a discussion. And then again, we needed a space for tutorials. So because I also teach another course, I couldn't be there for them. So we actually designed what we call a virtual class. So we always call it a virtual class with my students, where we engage, not necessarily physically, but I always try to be there for them, and when I need them, they're always there. So this is where we engage with class, with the content material. They receive their slides, the lecture slides, then we engage with the material even before they come to class, such that the class is not necessarily a one-way lecture, but it becomes an interactive session where we talk to the issues that we actually engaged with before coming to class. we do a lot of application in my class. So for them to know what they're supposed to do in class, they have to read before they come to class and then discuss on the forum. So there are so many of these discussions that we have been going through with the class, and basically they have rules before engaging on a discussion. We had some ground rules as to how to actually engage in a scholarly conversation, how to ensure that whatever you say doesn't hurt the other person, and how to respond, because before they pause, they really need to respond to the conversations that are also trending on the tutorial session. So these are screenshots from the virtual class. That is what we call it. Okay, so then again, as teachers, they really need to put into practice what I actually teach them in class, such that they have to, this is my video, so they have to conduct micro teaching sessions, but I couldn't be there to actually observe their micro teaching, so they did it on their own, and then this is what they came up with and uploaded on the online portal.
Good morning, teacher, and good morning, all my friends. Okay, so we first going to get the video today. Are you all outside? 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 Who can tell me what the weather is today? Sunny. Sunny, right? Very hot today. But the main topic of today will be the 3 E's. We did the 3 E's last week. So who can tell me?
Unfortunately, I have only 5 minutes. So they do this, they are not under my supervision. They conduct their sessions and then they upload the video so that I can view them and grade them and then comment on the online portal. Then again, they are not necessarily forced to do this in a classroom situation. Sometimes they do it outside.
Good morning, class.
Because we want to make sure that they are comfortable.
This morning.
Fine.
Okay. What's your name?
Kitty.
Kitty. Okay. Are you okay today? Okay, that's great. So class, this morning, we are going to start a new theme. Okay, the theme that we are going to do is transport. Okay? Does anybody know the different forms of transport or what transport is? Yes. Really? Wow, that's so nice. My mommy takes the train to work. A train? Okay. Okay. Alright, so what other forms of transport can we use to come to school, perhaps, maybe?
So basically, this is a simulation of what happens in a foundation-based classroom. So this is a digital story that they created. Sorry, I'm running out of time, that's why I'm cutting the video short. Then, again, they had to create children's e-books, because in most cases we rely on books that are on the internet due to lack of resources, but they really have to create the books. So these are full books. They just create a whole book, illustrate it, and then submit it online again. And then we also have online quizzes. Then these are my future aspirations. I want to make them, to train teachers who are higher order thinkers, lifelong learners. They have to be innovative and active producers of knowledge. They have to be equipped with 21st century skills, because the learners that are going to teach are actually digital natives. Again, I want to make sure that I create and nurture their experiential learning, because as teachers of young children, they really need to experience what they are going to be confronted with when they go out to the field. Then I had to do a lot of reimagining, reconceptualization. As a digital immigrant myself, there's been a lot that I've been going through. And then the most important factor is the fact that I really want to strengthen my collaboration with the e-learning team, because what I've done so far is something that we have done in less than 3 months, or maybe 4 months if I'm not mistaken. So I know I am cognizant that if we can have more time together, I can actually train and make sure that whatever I do is in line with the graduate attributes. However, there is also one thing that I've noted, that if only we could have access to such real-time innovative resources where our learners are able to actually learn, and actually, because next year they're supposed to train students in robotics and other technology-based techniques. So if we can have some things that are actually hands-on that they can practice, that they can use to practice and then prepare for the field. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nosisi. So I'd like to compliment you for what you've done in 3 months on your e-learning journey. It's quite a lot. You might not think it is, but the virtual classroom is the start, and your students are engaging with you, and that is what we actually want. With the student engaged, and through it you can also give them art. And what the students also produce is great. The resources that the students produce is actually great. Thank you so much.